Hello everyone, welcome to a new video. If you're new to this channel, let me catch you up, let me bring you up to speed. What we're doing here, this is a 3D modeling project. If you've played Wind Waker before, then you know the islands of the Great Sea are the mountaintops of Hyrule, but we never get to fully explore Hyrule in the game. We only see a small section of it. So here, using the power of 3D modeling, this is a fan project where we're finally bringing all of Hyrule to life in the art style of the Wind Waker, tying back in and connecting to the islands of the Great Sea. Welcome to Wind Waker Unflooded. That's the spiel, that's the spiel. So yeah, welcome back, all returning viewers, welcome new viewers to the channel. That's the spiel, I'm just getting out of the way. Let's talk Zelda. So what we're watching in this video, this is a time lapse. Really, this is like, this isn't, I feel like it's not as elegant as some of my previous videos where I'm really working on like bigger locations. Like I've done previous videos with the Arbiter's Grounds, with the Lost Woods, working on Kakariko Village and Hateno Village, now in the world of the Wind Waker. And this is just kind of cleaning up the Faron region a little bit, the woods down there in the south, kind of near Lake Hylia, just adding some detail there, just a little bit of stuff here and there. And the area and building up Stone Watcher Island, which I think holds one of the Triforce charts in the game. And so I'm just kind of creating that island because I didn't have a rip for that model, so I built the model from scratch. And it's not a perfect recreation of how it looks in the game, but it's pretty close, and the scale is pretty close, so I'm pretty happy with how that turns out, but y'all will see that later in the video. So yeah, we're just starting off, you know, I'm watching this time lapse, you know, with the rest of y'all. We're just working on the Faron region. We have this kind of ramp pattern that I've been, you know, using a little bit for creating a way to get up the side of this mountain, you know, and that's something that like I've used also like around Lake Hylia just as a mode of transporting verticality, you know, and it's the kind of thing that like I don't want to repeat that pattern too much just because it feels like it doesn't feel like a natural part of the cliffside to me, but it's something that like as a, like if I was playing this as a video game, if I was a player like in this world and exploring and I saw, ooh, I want to get to the top of that mountain, but you know, Wind Waker Link can't climb. So it's this kind of thing that like, even if that kind of ramp feels like out of place and it feels engineered, I've kind of gone back and forth on it, but I just feel like a player would be happy to have it there. And so that's the kind of thing where like, you know, that informs the decisions I make. And I don't know, like I do think there's freedom with the way that topography or like geography, what am I trying to say? Like, I think topography is the word for, and I mean that like in the geographic sense, the freedom there with how that can be expressed in the style of the Wind Waker. I really do. And looking just at the art style of the game, you know, like a lot of video games, there's a very kind of stair-step pattern to the way it incorporates ledges and mountains and hills. And, you know, there are like slopes, and like the game is fine with having curves here and there. It's not like everything is like, it's not like Minecraft, you know, it's not cubic, but there is a lot of like kind of flat walls that you know, tear us off into, you know, stair-step patterns, you know, and that's all over the game. And then there are ramps and paths that almost seem like carved into mountainsides. And so that's definitely something I've incorporated into my take on its mountains in Hyrule. And so yeah, and so that ramp pattern there going up was just kind of a way of creating convenience for traversing up the side of a mountainside. And my preferred way of like creating like ways to ascend vertically like in this map is creating like kind of a spiral path that spirals down the side of a mountain, you know, like you would find on an actual kind of hiking trail, a little bit, you know, at least that sort of shape. And I might be interested in doing like a longer ridge kind of spiral like you would find on an actual hiking trail. I love hiking, and I really, you know, I want. My dream is for all the things that I love about exploring nature to show up in this map, and I think maybe in small ways they do, but that's definitely something that as I make more locations, I hope that there's more and more ways where you can see kind of my own eye for you know, what I want to see in the world, and what do I want to see when exploring. And sometimes, like, I look at this project and it feels like it's so early on that I'm like, well, you know, I would love for there to be more stuff to find in the world. And now I'm still just working on the geography and putting that into place. And there's some locations where I spend a little more time with the details, like Hateno Village and Kakariko, and trying to bring buildings to life. But there's also a lot of places on the map where I'm like, I want to add more detail there. But also, like, that's something I can come back to after the world is, after there's not like holes in the ground everywhere, right? So I go back and forth on that. But all this to say is there's a lot more to do on this project, and that's all I'm saying. And I definitely want to add more things to find littered throughout the world. I want it to be denser. But also I don't want to worry about that too much. I can worry about that later. There's time, and I don't mind the idea of, like, you know, filling out the world and then adding details so that y'all can see, like, here's a kind of complete Hyrule, and now let's keep making it denser. So you know, I don't mind that kind of being the general plan. I don't know. I think, like, for a big project that's as big as this, it's kind of, I don't know, maybe I need a little bit more of a plan. And I think definitely, if we get more collaborators on board, I'd probably need to set up a little bit more of a route of how I want to approach certain things, which is all this to say is this is an invitation. I've had some people reach out, you know, already, but I definitely welcome, if you're, you know, if you do 3D modeling, I would love to hear from you. You can find my email. I think it's on my YouTube page. If you look at the like the about page, I think it's there. Also on the about page, let's go ahead and plug it, are links to my Patreon and my Ko-fi page if you're interested in supporting this project. Let's go ahead and get this spiel out of the way. If y'all want to be able to support me, I just set up a Patreon. It's brand new, and supporting me on there helps fund the creation of all my projects, both on my main channel where I do filmmaking stuff, but also this project. And I would love to see you there. It would really mean a lot. And, you know, being able to support me gives you access to all kinds of bonus content, previs and early access scripts and music that I make for all my films and projects. Music that you'll hear in the background of these videos. If you've heard any music in the background, that's my music. So you can also support me by listening to my music on Spotify or Apple Music or wherever you listen to music. Look up Joe Kendrick on Spotify. That's JoeKendrick. Look up Joe Kendrick on Spotify. I don't know. I'm going into my radio voice. I should do like I thought about like pre-recording an outro that does all those plugs at the for, you know, to put it like the end of a video, and just having that play the exact same way with every video. But right now I kind of don't mind the idea of, like, you know, it's a little different for every video, and I want to keep things spiced up. What was I talking about? I was talking about I was talking about the project. But let me go ahead and say too, you know, just while I'm getting some spiels out of the way, I've been so encouraged by y'all's comments. And if you're watching the video and you're like, I would have done this differently, or if you just have ideas of new locations that you want to see from Hyrule in the world of the Wind Waker, feel free to comment down below. Any of your ideas, questions, concerns, limericks, comment down below. I would love to see y'all. I've been really encouraged by all the nice things y'all have had to say and the ideas y'all have already commented. A lot of the videos I do, I'm picking what locations to do because of the ideas that y'all comment. And so, yeah, just this to say, I really do encourage y'all's comments. And so, yeah, we've gotten a lot of the spiel out of the way. I'm a spieler sometimes, but anyway, here in the time lapse, you can see I'm starting work on Stonewatcher Island. And like I said, this is, you know, I'm pretty much making it from scratch here. And it's a pretty simple island, and it's not perfectly replicating how it looks in the original game, but it's getting close enough for my taste, and I can keep kind of ironing things out later. But, you know, there are some locations that, you know, like I said, I wasn't able to get the exact model for, so I'm just kind of recreating them from scratch. And I have to do that with a couple of islands. And that, you know, and that's fun. It's kind of fun to, like I said, like kind of like look at an island and think about, well, what is this location? And I think Stonewatcher Island is really interesting because it's a location on the map that is, it's what we see an example of, like there are few examples that we see, but it's like ruins on the overworld of old Hyrule. And I've always thought that locations like that in Wind Waker were really cool to see. And I don't know, like if there's anything that, like, there's so many things I love about Wind Waker, but what I really like is the amount of built-in history that its world has, you know what I'm saying? And how, like, it's kind of like when people talk about Star Wars, right? And they talk about the lived-in aesthetic of especially like the ship design and how things aren't meant to be perfectly smooth. There's weathering everywhere, which was unique for sci-fi at the time, right? And I feel like Wind Waker, like, you know, and Ocarina of Time too, that's really what elevated those games and continues to elevate Zelda games beyond video game maps that you see in other games. Because there's definitely video game maps where you look at and you could just see the level design radiating off of that. And you can tell that, like, oh, like this was made to be a video game experience. This doesn't look like, I don't feel like I'm looking at a world. I feel like I can tell that this was just crafted by, you know, crafted by a video game designer. And I feel like Zelda games have always been good about, you look at it and you know, because of the immersion of the narrative, but also because of the design and what they incorporate. I feel like Hyrule and how it's been implemented has always been really good about, you know, you don't think about the level design. You just, because you just see it as it being the location. I mean, something I think about with Wind Waker is, there's several islands that kind of require like a platforming section in order to get to the middle of the island, both with the entrance to Dragon Roost Island. You know, when you're there for the first time, you have to clear all the bombs out of the way and you know, and go across the ledge there, and it's like a whole like kind of platforming section. And of course, like once you've done it once, you don't have to do as much, but you still have to like climb like several ledges each time you want to get to Rito Village. And even the main central interior of Dragon Roost Island is like a very vertical room where you have to ascend this ramp, right, in order to get to like the mail center. And the Forest Haven is another good example, I think. And that's something that whether you do it once, like you have to do that same platforming challenge every time you want to get inside to see the Great Deku Tree. And I don't know, I don't see people talking about that. And I'm not saying that as a criticism. I think that's interesting that like there are several islands that like, and I think Forest Haven is especially clear that you have to, you know, go up the side of this hill, grapple over to, you know, this island on the other side of the, you know, this waterfall, and hop across these platforms until you know, hop into a pond and reach then you can go see the Great Deku Tree. And you have to do that every time you get there. And it's not like, I'm not saying that to say that that's bad. I think it's cool that feels invisible. That's what I'm trying to say. Is like, that's part of those islands. And it's like a little bit of like, you know, very like traversal based gameplay that forces you to move, especially vertically, in interesting ways, but it feels invisible. Like to me, when I play Wind Waker, I'm not thinking about that. I'm like, okay, let me just go and, you know, hop across the waterfall real quick to go see the Great Deku Tree. And I'm not really thinking about how much of like a platforming challenge that is. And I think it's just so cool that they've pulled it off in that way, and that like really like it feels as invisible as it does. Just the location just feels like a location. That's what I'm trying to say. Maybe I've rambled for too long. I don't know. I didn't this is not a prepared speech here, but I just think it's cool. Zelda game design is good. And Wind Waker is just a great example of that. Like anything that was designed for gameplay, like totally feels like it makes sense narratively, in my opinion. Like I don't think there's anything that sticks out as like so video gamey, just because everything just feels immersive. But anyway, that'll be my ending rant. I mean, you know, comment down below what y'all think. You know, like I said, let me know if y'all have any ideas. But I'll wrap it up here. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope to see y'all in future videos. Comment down below what you want to see me work on next. So without further ado, thanks for watching. I'll let y'all go.